The President's approval followed wide consultative meetings with governors, the organized private sector and the labor bureaucrats. Labour, however, conceded by accepting a new wage increase when Tinubu promised to ensure that wages would be reviewed every 3 years rather than the once in 5 years old order. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris said the agreement will bring smiles on the faces of the workers as the President has fulfilled his promise that he will not disappoint the workers.
You recall that last week we had a meeting here, and the organized private sector and the subnationals have also held their various meetings with Mr. President following the submission of the tripartite agreement to Mr. President. Labour came last week. They had a meeting with Mr. President. They adjourned, asked for adjournment for a week to go and consult further. They did those consultations. They have come back today, and we have met with Mr. President. We're happy to announce today that both the federal government and the organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage. The new national minimum wage that we expect Mr. President to submit to the National Assembly for legislation is 70,000 naira.
The NLC President Joe Ajaero and the TUC counterpart Festus Osifo said what came as most appealing for the workforce was the assurance by the President to effect a 3-yearly review of wages and the assurance that by next week the bill to amend the minimum wage shoring it up to 70,000 naira will most likely go to the National Assembly soon.
Mr. President assured all Nigerians that their president and would not disappoint, and he has shown that this afternoon. Recall that Labour saw Mr. President last week, and they asked that you should give them 1 week to consult more. And of course, at the end of the day, the consultation came very fruitful because Mr. President said he has to be a father, that it's not issue of law who is right or who will blink the first, that he is our father, like he always said, that we should end the issue of give me 1,000 and add 1,000 and all that.
The new wage, when implemented, is expected to cushion the hardship that the workers have been facing since the removal of the oil subsidy. The House of Representatives has unanimously agreed to reduce the salaries by 50% in response to the widespread economic hardship in the country. The decision was made during a Thursday's plenary session following the adoption of a motion sponsored by Ibrahim Isiaka from Ogun State. The motion appealed for peaceful protests and engagement with the government to address the issues. Deputy Speaker Ben Kalu proposed the amendment suggesting a 6-month salary reduction, initially stating that lawmakers earn 500,000 naira monthly, but was corrected by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, who confirmed that their monthly salary is actually 600,000 naira.
To the people of Nigeria, your crying is right. Your complaint of hardship is right. But is the solution found in carrying placard and lining the streets? Is the solution found in copying a country lesser than us? The references that are made today to Kenya and all the rest of them, they are smaller country to Nigeria. We are giant of Africa. We must provide solution that is better and sustainable and lasting.
Appeals to the proponents of the proposed nationwide protest in Nigeria to consider a different path, a path of patience, dialogue, and collaboration to prioritize the line of peace and open channels of meaningful engagements with the government.
I want to appeal to those that are instigating this protest, because I believe there are people behind this protest. It's not that people are just doing it by themselves. And I think DSS must work hard to find if they can at least be able to scout and get those people that are instigating or the leaders of these protests.
Our youth are exercising their fundamental human rights. But in the exercise of their fundamental human rights, there should be, as well, most of them to be circumspect. You can't destroy Nigeria. We must all come together to build a more formidable Nigeria and to ask the government of the day to look into issues that have been driving.
The House of Representatives Committee on Federal Character has summoned the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Dayo Mubirola, to appear before the committee on July 30th, 2024. The summon came after Mubirola failed to appear before the committee for an investigative hearing, sending a representative instead. Committee Chairman Honorable Idris Wase expressed displeasure at the DG's absence and rejected the representatives, citing constitutional provisions that empower the committee to summon executives. Honorable Wase emphasized that the committee requires the DG's personal presence to answer questions. Representative Usembi Usage appealed for the committee's understanding, stating that the DG was away on a national assignment but would be willing to appear before the committee on the next appointed date.
The resolution of the committee, or the resolve of the committee, is in line with the principle of accountability, to always take only the accounting officer and chief executive officer of that institution, of any institution appearing before us. It's known to us, and we are aware very well that your chief executive have not stayed so much long there.
The option would have been it, but I'm sure in the civil service, people knew this would also be accepted. It's a new lesson for us. We will take it home so that the effect maybe you would have communicated that we should be quite easier. Also, we judges.
The Nigerian Senate has commenced moves to amend the Constitution to allow for the establishment of the Local Government Independent Electoral Commission. This is subsequent to the first reading of the bill on the floor of the Senate on Thursday plenary. Correspondent Kuluju reports that the bill sponsored by Senator representing Niger East, Musa Sani, seeks to establish an independent body to conduct elections at the local government level. Recall the Supreme Court last week delivered separating the local government from the state, thereby making them entirely independent.
Business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Most Distinguished Senator Musa Mohammed Sani on the Local Government Independent Electoral Commission Establishment Bill 2024, SB 531. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
National Local Government Independent Electoral Commission Establishment Bill 2024, SB 531, first reading taken.
The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, has vowed to enforce law mandating admission age for entry into tertiary institutions to 18 years. Maman made this known at the 2024 policy meeting in admission into tertiary institutions and 4th edition 2021 to 2023/2023 of JAM National Tertiary Admission Performance Merit Awards in Abuja Thursday. Correspondent Kuluju reports that the meeting was put in place to determine the modality and guidelines for admissions into tertiary institutions for the 2024 academic session. The minister mandated JAM to admit only students who have attained the age of 18 years into tertiary institutions in the 2024 admission process. He also added that 2024 admission criteria remained as approved, urging institutions to adhere to the laid-down requirements for admission processes. Although stakeholders currently participating at the 2024 Joint Admission and Matriculation Board JAMB policy meeting were rattled when the Minister of Education, Professor Maman Tahir, announced that candidates seeking admission into higher institutions must be 18 and above. You're still on to Galaxy Primetime News, and coming up next. The Federal High Court sitting in Kaduna adjourns the case between the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, and the Kaduna State House of Assembly. Details of these and more will come to you shortly. Do stay with us. We're glad to have you back. Now, for more updates and latest news, please visit our website www.galaxytvonline.com. Connect with us on our X handle at Galaxy TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTVNews. You can follow and interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on Instagram page at Galaxy TV. You can also avail our eyewitness feature via WhatsApp. If you have breaking news around you, simply share your story by sending short clips or videos of the news on 0818-666-669. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board has pegged admissions cut-off marks to 140 for universities. The board also fixed 100 as a minimum cut-off point mark to admission into polytechnic and colleges of education. The Registrar of JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oluide, announced this while speaking at the 2024 policy meeting on admission to tertiary institutions. He added that no university, polytechnics and colleges of education should admit candidates with less than the minimum cut-off requirement. The report. Correspondent Kuliojo reports that at the 2024 policy meeting on admission into tertiary institutions and 4th edition of JAMB National Tertiary Admission Performance Merit Award, the Registrar of JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oluide, the board has been able to regularize 600 of the numbers admitted illegally.
All those who are 140 and above will remain what they are. You know you can't operate your portal unless you give me your minimum. The portal will not work. And once you put anything less than 140 from today, it will drop it for universities. As far as law is today, 18 years is the minimum. Years are to download O-level data on cards. No candidate can be considered for admission if he does not meet the prescribed minimum.
He added that a lot of the students with illegal admissions do not have the basic qualifications for the course they registered to study. Oluide also announced the admission cutoff of 140 for applicants seeking admission into university and 100 for those seeking admission into the polytechnics and colleges of education in Nigeria. Not only this, the meeting fixed admission age for the new academic session for 16 years, adding that as from next year, 18 years will be enforced. The acting executive secretary of the National University Commission, Chris Miyaki, called for stakeholders' collective effort to shape education landscape of the country.
Consequently, as I said, subsequent information has revealed that a road under age is inflicting serious damage on the university and education system, hence the need for enforcement of extant rules. I have also been informed about the surge in applications for immediate request for a change of age to reflect higher age in anticipation of the imminent enforcement of the age policy. This again reflects dangerous game being played with the life and future of innocent children by those expected to nurture them.
Has continued to serve as a pivotal moment in our collective effort to shape the future of tertiary education in Nigeria. The NUC would like to acknowledge, we would like to commend the critical role of JAM in ensuring the integrity of all our admission processes. We note with a lot of pride and a deep sense of fulfillment the remarkable improvements in the conduct of the UTME, and particularly the deployment of technology and the central admissions processing system, which have contributed to increase public confidence.
The meeting had in attendance the Minister of Education, Tahir Maman, Vice Chancellors, Rectors and Registrar of higher institutions and other stakeholders. Despite the enforcement of no protest order in the Federal Capital Territory, which hampers the peaceful protests, the leadership of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities on Thursday submitted protest letters at the Federal Ministry of Education and Ministry of Labour and Productivity. Correspondent Kuluju completes the story.
Officers of the Nigerian Police Force and their counterparts from the State Security Service on Thursday prevented the peaceful protest by members of the Senior Staff Association of Universities and their counterpart from the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. The Joint Action Committee of the two unions has slated a peaceful protest to register their displeasure over their 4-month with salary for Unity Fountain in Abuja, but the security personnel stormed the area as early as 7 a.m. as of the time when leaders and members of the two unions decided to set out to the Ministry of Labour and Productivity as well as the Ministry of Education, the security men blocked the exit gate to the Unity Fountain. Members of the unions had entered their buses for onward movement to the two ministries but were prevented from leaving the arena. In the struggle for Speaking earlier, the national president of SANU, Comrade Mohammed Ibrahim, and his counterpart from NASU, Makolo Azan, and other speakers said the exercise was a peaceful move to press home their demands.
Now what is before us today, we have informed the press over the time, over and over again. It is a problem of the reneging agreement. And we are here asking that we were on that reneging where our FOMO was withheld. We are saying that FOMO must be paid now. We are saying the 50 billion for NLR must be paid now. What we have done is to be civic and to be civil. We are not troublemakers. We are not here to create any problem. We are not here to abuse or undermine anyone. We are here to struggle and fight for our rights. We have followed all due processes.
Following the insistence of the security operatives on no protest, the leadership of the two unions devised alternative means and found their way to the Ministry of Education, Labour and Productivity. The union leaders declared that the move remains the last option for the federal government to attend to their demands, saying they will issue an ultimatum to the federal government for an industrial action any moment from now.
I'm totally not satisfied with the performance of the Minister of Labour, because she has clearly shown ineptitude and has shown that she is not, doing her job the way she should, because severally she has invited us for meetings only not to turn up for the meetings.
Recall that the Nigerian Police Force had last week issued a no-protest order to all concerned in the Federal Capital Territory. From Abuja, Kunle Ojo, Galaxy TV.
The Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed the election of Doidiri as governor of Bayelsa State. A 3-member panel of the appellate court dismissed the appeal filed by the All Progressive Congress APC and its candidates Timper Silva for lacking in merit. Correspondent Kunuju reports that the Court of Appeal held that the lower tribunal was right to have ruled that the petitioners failed to prove their case. On November 13, 2023, Diri, candidate of the People's Democratic Party, was declared winner of the off-cycle election held in Bayelsa after he scored over 175,196 votes to defeat Silva, another candidate. Silva, a former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, polled 110,108 votes. Not satisfied with the outcome of the election, Silva and his party filed a petition before the tribunal, alleging that INEC wrongly excluded results from 3 local government areas, which are Southern Ijo, Gobia and Nimbe. He described the 3 local government areas as his strongholds, arguing that results from the areas would have handed him victory if they were added.
What the Court of Appeal did today is to affirm the very, very erudite judgment of the Election Tribunal, which in itself vindicated the victory of His Excellency Governor Doyediri at the November elections. And you see, one thing that is very, very important, this is what we call concurrent judgment.
It's a distraction. I said it the last time the tribunal gave their judgment. It's a distraction not only to me, but to the government and the people of the state. A distraction that need not be. But they have decided to go, and we also know the character and person that is taking us to court and continue to distract the state, continue to distract the government.
The Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa and the Inspector General of Police IGP Kardec Betokun has denied allegations that the military and police provide security for illegal miners and their sites in the country. They made this denial at a hearing by the House Representatives Committee on Mineral Resources chaired by Honorable Jonathan Gaza. The CDS, who was represented by the Director of Operations, Defense Headquarters, Air Vice Marshal Inim Kailo, and IGP, who was represented by Assistant Inspector General of Police AIG Adimola Hamzat, stated that they only provide protection for legitimate miners who operate in conflict-affected areas. Upon request from the Ministry of Mines, they emphasized that they do not support illegal mining activities and are willing to collaborate with relevant agencies to stop the ugly trend.
No responsible organization paid by the public will give anything that will dampen or sort of jettison the wish of the people. The police, yes, we give guards to some individuals who we can establish under serious threat, especially in terrorism inflicted areas. But from my own office, I'm being a very senior officer in the operations department. There is nothing to show that we protect any illegal mining sites or whatsoever. We don't do that.
The committee chairman, Gaza, assured that efforts are being made to address the issues surrounding illegal mining in Nigeria.
Requests, legitimate requests, I repeat, legitimate requests are made for the military to give protection to legitimate miners that license has been issued to in conflict-inflicted areas. Now, once we get such requests, what we normally do is we'll write to the Ministry of Mines. Or in fact, we ask them to direct their letter to the Ministry of Mines.
Can appreciate the fact that we are making effort to nip this thing in the bud that is becoming a cancer, becoming a monster. We're trying to nip it in the bud so that we can enjoy the full economic potential that God has blessed us with. So speaking out there to the camera is actually to bring about hope, especially at such a time in our nation.
The Nigerian police has been described as the most improved agency in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. This is according to the Inspector General of Police Kardec Betokun during his walking visit to police formation in Edo State. Correspondent Dele Fason has more.
Addressing officers and men at the State Police Command headquarters in Benin City, The IGP said the police must ensure it braces up in the fight against crime and criminality.
Recently, I received a team of UNODC in my office, where they presented their third anti-corruption report in Nigeria to me. And it is heartwarming to note that the Nigerian police was rated the most improved agency in anti-corruption in Nigeria.
The high point of the IGP visit was the commissioning of the newly built ultra-modern Benin Area Command Headquarters at Upper Sakwamba Road in Benin City. From Edo State, Daily Fast reporting for Galaxy News.
The police in Delta State has arrested suspected human traffickers and child prostitution suspects in the Delta community of Ughelli. The police, in a statement by spokesperson Edafe Bright made available to newsmen, said the Delta Police Commissioner Olufemi Abaniwanda, through credible information, directed the Divisional Police Officer of Ekpan Division, Aliu Shaiba, who led a team and stormed their location. According to the police, a suspect named Chioma Edafe, who runs the hotel and specializes in trafficking women from the east, was arrested, as 35 victims, which include 23 teenagers, were rescued. Meanwhile, manhunt for the main suspect, who is referred to as Chinyere, has intensified, according to the police, while the hotel named Big Edafe Hotel has been taken over by police operative as investigation continues. The case between former Governor of Kaduna State Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai and the Kaduna State House of Assembly has been adjourned for hearing by a federal high court sitting in Kaduna on Thursday. Recall that after the Kaduna House Committee submitted a report that indicted El-Rufai of a multi-million naira fraud and corruption during his tenure, the former governor went to court challenging the House Committee's report. However, at the hearing of the case, counsel to the first respondent, the Kaduna State House of Assembly, Femi Falana-San, informed the court that the report is that of a committee, while challenging the court's jurisdiction to hear the case. The plea was also advanced by the Commissioner of Justice and Attorney General of Kaduna State, Sule Shuaibu San, who is a defendant in the case.
A fact-finding, mission to confirm the claim of the applicant, that's the former governor, Nasir El-Rufai, that this was what I'm leaving behind. This is the amount of external debt. This is the amount of domestic debt. So all the House of Assembly did was to summon the relevant commissioners to confirm the figures that the former governor had given.
To reiterate what my learned senior has said, and the only thing I need to state here quite clearly is that the claim before the court is that one that has to do with setting aside, declaring as unconstitutional report of an ad hoc committee, and we have made it abundantly clear before the court that nobody can approach this court in the guise of the enforcement of his fundamental rights.
However, counsel to the applicant were not in court. The Presiding Judge Justice R.M. Aikawa adjourned the case for hearing. Nigerians from all walks of life received the news of the lifting of visa ban on Nigerians seeking to travel to the United Arab Emirates with joy, taking into consideration the number of Nigerians doing business and schooling in the country. The ban has also affected the business relationship between both countries, despite the good working relationship both countries enjoy. In this report, our correspondent Dele Fasan takes a look at the economic benefit of lifting a ban on international trade. The report.
21 months ago, precisely October 2022, when the UAE placed a ban on Nigeria passport holders, the president visited the country to reignite the good working relationship while businessmen and women had their business interests put on hold, except those with residential permits. Speaking on the benefits of the ban lifting on international trade amid political calculations, Some business experts and political analysts charge Nigerians to redeem its image.
Lifting it is a good one, but the best that we, the government, should look inward and develop our economy, so that it's not we going there to look for business, they also come to Nigeria to also look for business, because the situation where our people be denied visa, treated as subhuman person because we are going to a greener pasture, all better because of our bad economy.
Mental orientation for our citizens that are traveling over there, because of the fact that the citizens are the image maker of both countries. So if you have citizens that are troublesome, if you have citizens that are into one vice, social vices or the other, it does not tell on the image of any country.
On their part, an executive member, Nigerian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as an economist, challenged the federal government to boost its international trade.
What the government should have done, what the government should do, you look at you're trading with a country. If you are trading with a country, we are buying XY amount from you annually. Are they buying equally from us? Our products, the products we have, like crude oil, gas, farm products and so forth, are they also buying from us? We must give what we call preferential treatment to those who are also buying from us.
About doing business with UAE, what percentage of the people export to UAE? Majority of the people import from UAE to Nigeria. So until we concentrate on how we can improve on our export to UAE, I'm sure Nigeria will benefit very little from that.
As Nigerians resume its business interests, among others, in the United Arab Emirates after the lifting of the ban, the image of Nigerians traveling to the UAE must be paramount as we look at achieving economic growth. From Delta State, Delefason reporting for Galaxy News.
You're still on to Galaxy Primetime News. Let's go take a break. When we return, the news continues. To stay with us. We're glad to have you back. The federal government has been advised to support relevant initiatives that will reduce housing deficit in Nigeria. The President, National Association of Polytechnics Students, Ridwan Opemi, while speaking with journalists in Abuja today, decried the state of hostels in most polytechnics across the country. The body also enjoined the federal and state government to support initiatives and projects that will relieve the burden of housing deficits for more dying people in the country. Opemi maintained that the challenges facing Nigerian students and youth in terms of housing across the country is enormous, adding that the rate and high cost of accommodation and occupancy of the house is worrisome and demoralizing.
Not new to our great association that the challenges facing the Nigerian student and youth in terms of housing across the country, the rate and high cost of accommodation and occupancy of house is worrisome and demoralizing. Over the years, there have been a significant shift in home and land ownership pattern that have a profound impact on society. Some parent generation benefited from economic prosperity and government program.
And we're also appealing to the federal government to buy to this initiative to support policy that will reduce housing deficits in Nigeria. This is one of the major problems that we are facing in Nigeria. Outside food security, we also need land or housing for everybody. If you are talking about shelter, you're talking about food, you're also talking about shelter. Every Nigerian youth and student needs shelter.
The incessant hike in prices of food and commodities has Nigerians groaning with perpetual call for help from the federal government. In this report, however, Galaxy TV's Iribami Salako navigates practical ways every individual may save money and themselves from hunger. The report.
A hungry man is an angry man is an adage that portrays the psychological response of humans to the inability of satiating the biological need for feeding. Inflation jumped to 34.2% in June 2024, and with the federal government and labor unions still in meeting about the minimum wage, salaries aren't increasing. And if they are by private firms, inflation latches greedily on it, leaving crumbs behind. Experts have advised that Nigeria should invest in agriculture to diversify means of foreign exchange earnings. However, the tragic reality of insecurity has broken the will of many farmers. It makes one ask the question, what should Nigerians do to survive? Gardening seems to have taken the center stage on fastest means to survival.
There are so many various ways that we can use in planting now. You can plant in bags, in tires, in pots, your flower beds, and you'll still achieve what you want to get. The only thing is getting it right, doing the right thing for you to get what you really want. Virtually, most of the things we're eating are things that we can do on our home at home, in our environment. There are things that grow within a range of 3 months to 9 months, some even less, you know. So if you can do all these things in the space of 1 year, why can't we do farming?
In as much you have the space, irrespective of the size of the space, just get this type of, we have different type of pond that can be used. First and foremost, make sure there is availability of water, whether bowl or well water that is clean and good for the fish.
Farming using species and materials around one's domicile seems impressive, with the bonus of recycling to reduce waste. However, there is nothing that doesn't come without challenges. Here are some of the things to look out for.
If you want to plant in bags, you need to get the correct type of bags to use. You need to know the type of soil and how to even do your soil preparation, because it is the soil that will determine the yield. So you must get your soil correct, then what you're going to use in planting. Do you want to plant inside the flower pot? Do you want to use your broken bowls, your broken, what do you call it, bath? You know, because you need to hold it for aeration.
If you don't have the knowledge of it, that can also be a challenge, in the sense when the fish are having infection, you may not know how they are responding.
Growing what one needs could be a rewarding experience, and in times of limited resources, your garden might replenish you. Iribami Salako, Galaxy TV News, Lagos.
In the public sector, the failure of government to meet the pension expectation of retirees has shattered the plans of many, as well as inducing economic trauma, which in some cases has led to fatalities. Stories abound of senior citizens who had collapsed and died while in queues waiting their pensions. Government must put its act together and pay pensions and entitlement, as this has become a major challenge. Galaxy TV Bosa Nyakusak has details in this report.
It was in a bid to address the non-payment of pensions that the Pension Reform Act of 2004 was enacted. The act covers both public and private sector employees. The Contributory Pension Scheme (CPS) was introduced to replace the Defined Benefit Scheme (DBS). Under the new regime, both the governmental companies and the workers themselves had to save up a given amount of their earnings towards building up an accumulated fund reserve, which they could fall back on after retirement.
That we are really suffering. You see, some of us retired 2017, 2018, 2019, at least some of us have stayed for 7 good years no pension, no gratuity, no salary, nothing.
Come to talk about gratuity and pension. That is something that is not supposed to be toyed with, because it seems that a senior citizen in Kaduna State particularly is not regarded. I think many, because of this now, many cannot take care of themselves. It is only by the grace of God that some of us are still surviving.
While it is noteworthy that PENCAM has helped to grow the fund as well as a more prudent management, there are still issues that are yet to be resolved by the government regarding many retired civil servants, as retirees in Kaduna State are faced with lack of accessing their benefit more than 7 years after leaving active service.
We are not happy. We serve our dear state for good 35 years. No payment, no pension, no gratuity, nothing. We are dying. Is it simply we serve the state for good 35 years and you cannot pay us?
Like you have rightly said that the money is depreciated very, very high. That how can you imagine a mudu of rice is above 1,000 naira? How we cannot afford. And the worst thing is that even when government is saying that they are giving palliatives, they never remember us.
Complications in meeting up with the pension obligation had risen fundamentally by the failure to link those in the old scheme DBS with those in the new scheme CPS. For the average retiree, he just wants to receive his entitlement, which they say is not forthcoming, making them more vulnerable.
And I challenge anybody to come and I will tell them the statistics on daily basis of people that are dying. We don't need this system in Kaduna State. Contributory pension scheme is a scam in this country. It's not only the police.
Retirees in Kaduna State are pleading with the government to help reduce their suffering as a matter of urgency by providing them with adequate care and support as senior citizens.
The whole system starts from the Bureau. I believe as a professor, when you arrive at the position of a professor, it means that you are capable of solving problems. Please let us ask the professor at the Bureau, what problems has she solved as it relates to CPS? Let us ask her as a professor, what is it that she has actually advised? Because honestly, I cannot blame Ubasani. Ubasani only inherited this nonsense.
Sadly, 19 years after the CPS was launched, only 4 states, Lagos, Osun, Kaduna and Delta, and the Federal Capital Territory are paying pension under the scheme.
And I'll move over to the foreign desk for more news.
This is news from the international scene. Police clashed on Thursday with student protesters attempting to impose a complete shutdown of Bangladesh capital following days of violent confrontation during demonstrations over a system of allocating government jobs, with media reports saying 10 persons died across the country. Authorities didn't confirm the figures immediately. Primetime Halo said at least 6 people died in Dhaka, Uttaraz area alone in clashes between the protesters and the security officials and ruling party activists. Students have been demonstrating for weeks against the quota system for government jobs they say favor allies of the ruling party. But the protests have escalated since violence broke out between protesters, police and pro-government student activists on campus on Dhaka University on Monday. Bangladesh are suspending some mobile internet services, with police firing tear gas at student protesters as violent clashes over civil service hiring quotas continue to rock the country. The nationwide protest, which have killed at least 9 people and injured more than 500 this week, showed no signs of abating on Thursday, with authorities blocking mobile services across most of the South Asian country. Zunaid Ahmed Palak, the Junior Information Technology Minister, said mobile internet has been temporarily suspended owing to various rumors and the unstable situation created on social media. Services will be restored once the situation returned to normal, he added. 2 days earlier, internet providers had cut access to Facebook, the protesters' key organizing tool. Rescuers have said 9 crew members had retrieved the body of another after their oil tanker went down off the coast of Oman in the Arabian Sea. The search teams responded to the tanker MT Prestige Falcon after it moved over late on Monday, some 25 nautical miles from the Oman's Ras Madraka, said the country's maritime security agency. 13 Indian and 3 Sri Lankan nationals were on board. It was not immediately clear what caused the Comorian flagship to capsize, but the Indian Navy, which sent a warship to help in search operations, said teams were dealing with rough seas and strong winds. Still on the international scene, the U.S. military has ended its mission to operate in temporary floating pier to deliver more aid to the Gaza Strip after it was beset by weather, technical and security problems. Supplies from Cyprus would now be shipped by U.S. vessel to the Israeli port of Ashdod and then transported by lorry to northern Gaza via an Israeli-controlled crossing, the deputy head of Central Command said. Vice Admiral Brad Cooper insisted the pier had enabled a surge in aid deliveries, noting that more than 9,000 tons had been delivered over 2 months. However, it was operational for only about 20 days and had been out of action since 28 June because of bad weather. 7 people have died, including 3 young children and a teenager, in a fire that broke out in early hours of Thursday in the southern French city of Nice. The local prosecutors said officials were investigating the blaze as a potential arson attack. Flames engulfed the upper floors of an apartment block in the Moulins area of Nice, close to the city's airport. The mayor of Nice said they had images that clearly showed the fire had been caused by petrol poured into a stairwell by hooded people during the night. Visiting the scene later, caretaker Prime Minister Gabriel Attal said 3 people were being sought by police. Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin said 3 young children were among the victims and the police would shed light on the circumstances of this terrible tragedy. Lastly, on the international scene, Kenyan police have banned protesters in the center of the capital, Nairobi, and surrounding areas until further notice, citing the leaderless nature that has made it difficult to enforce safety. It comes after a month of anti-government protest in which scores of people have been killed. More protests are planned for Thursday. Nairobi city centre has been the head of a youth-led protest which have also taken place across the country. The protesters began against unpopular tax rises, but after they were withdrawn have broadened out, including demands for President William Ruto to resign. Police said no demonstrations will be permitted in the Nairobi Central Business District and its surrounding until further notice to ensure public safety. The ban has sparked outrage online, with some arguing that the police do not have such powers. As Kenyan law gives citizens the right to demonstrations, there is already a heavy police presence in the capital in anticipation of the protests. And that's it from the international scene.
And now move over to entertainment news.
Welcome to Entertainment News. My name is Rose Blossom. More stories today is someone has just beat another record from Ogun State, winning the Guinness Book of Records for the best and the highest hours in video game. And of course, we have Ine Dima, who has come out to tell her story of having fibroid the second time, stating that she's going to start a podcast and of course to sensitize women. Also, it will be Franklin has unfollowed Keith Daniel following the arrest story of a 15 million naira debt. Guinness World Records have acknowledged Nigerian biochemist Oside Oluwale for completing the longest video game marathon. Guinness World Record GWR acknowledged his accomplishment and achievement on social media, naming him as the new record holder. The record was set by 24-year-old Oluwale, who played soccer video game non-stop for 75 hours. Clocking up over 500 games, he surpassed the previous best of 50 hours which Englishman David Whitefoot had established in 2022. In his birthplace of Ijebu-Ode, Oluwale set out to raise money for a local hospital by taking on the stocks. GWL noted Oluwole's accomplishment and said he smashed the record considerably. Nollywood actress Inedima Okoje has just broken some heartbreaking news to her fans, and it's regarding a health concern. In an emotional video, Inedima Okoje shared how she recently got diagnosed with fibroid for the second time. She went on to recount that she got her first diagnosis in 2017 and she had an invasive surgery to remove the growth in 2020. Ine said that sharing the news of a second fibroid diagnosis hasn't been easy and she's been going back and forth about it. However, what gave her strength was the fact that when she was first shared her story in 2020, she got a lot of support from various women who in turn shared their stories. Instead of getting another surgery done, Ine said she would be taking a holistic approach, aiming at shrinking the fibroid lumps in her body. Going forward, Ine shared that she would be sponsoring 20 women to get scans for fibroid. She also said that she will start a podcast discussing different holistic approaches for managing fibroids and that she will be open to tips from women who are suffering from the same condition. Inedima Okore's reason for starting the podcast to sensitize women about fibroid is that in 2017 she had no idea what fibroid was even when she was experiencing symptoms. Because of Nigerian singer Kiss Daniel's beef with talent manager Ubi Franklin has finally been revealed. It was reported a few days back that Kiss Daniel had blocked Ubi from Instagram. This surprised many as to further fuel rumors of a dispute between them. Ubi are taken to a blog's comment section to question if he should speak out. Ubi Franklin has reportedly unfollowed singer Kiss Daniel on Instagram over an alleged 50 million naira dispute. Blogger Cutie Jules recently alleged that Ubi Franklin got Kiss Daniels a lucrative gig worth 150 million naira in Nigeria. An initial agreement was made between the two, but Ubi Franklin gets 10% from the money, which amounts to 15 million naira. After the money was paid, Ubi took out a share and sent 135 million to Kiss Daniel, which got him furious, requesting for the full amount or he wouldn't go for the show. Kiss Daniel reportedly sent 5% to Ubi after receiving full payment, which is 7.5 million naira, claiming that he wasn't the one who agreed to pay the initial 10%. Reacting to it, netizens took to the comment section to support Ubi Franklin. And finally, Rude Boy has come out after his release from EFCC custody, stating that he only makes his money from his music. Here are the first stories of our story. Finally, veteran singer Paul Okoye, has also known as Rude Boy, has reacted after being cleared by the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC. It will be recalled that the popular blogger Q Jones recently reported that Rude Boy and his elder brother Jude Okoye were taken in for questioning by the EFCC. Following his release, Rude Boy took to his Instagram story to celebrate being cleared, clarifying that he isn't a thief as his good music paid. And that'll be all on entertainment news. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Rose Blossom Moye. Bye for now.
And that's all we have on Galaxy Primetime.